Last night's debate on Channel 7 was fascinating for one reason. Fascinating for the return of the old Peter Dutton, saying no to the divisive welcome to country.
For the opening of Parliament, fair enough. It's respectful to do. But for the start of every meeting at work or the start of a football game, I think a lot of Australians think it's overdone, and it cheapens the significance of what it was meant to do. It divides the country, not dissimilar to what the Prime Minister did with the Voice.
And once again, the Prime Minister seemed not to quite know what to say, because I am sure that even he knows. Most Australians are now sick of being welcomed to their own country.
It's up to people to determine whether they have a welcome to country or not. But from my perspective, for major events, it is, of course, a sign of respect.
But back to the return of this Peter Dutton, the culture warrior. I mean, too late, but still welcome. More importantly, though, it's a lesson for timid Liberal leaders everywhere. When the opposition leader last fought the culture wars, he won. Dutton beat the Albanese government in its referendum on the Voice, a plan to divide us by race, create an Aboriginal-only advisory parliament. And Dutton then led Labor in the polls. But this year, this election campaign, Dutton stopped. It was as if the Liberals once again had lost the courage to fight, to defy the media left, fight for its principles. And now, again, they're behind in the polls. Today, again, news poll, 48% to Labor's 52%, headed for defeat next Saturday. Now, there is, of course, much more to Dutton's decline than that. But last night, with nothing more to lose, it seemed, here's Dutton saying no to this divisive welcome to country. Like he hadn't at first on Saturday, Anzac Day, reacting to this disgraceful booing of the welcome to country, which is also inappropriate, at Melbourne's dawn service.
I'm here to welcome everybody to my father's country. Beautiful Bunurong country. But before we do that, we pay our acknowledgements and we pay our respects. We pay our respects to all of my ancestors. We pay our respects to all of my elders. And we pay respects to all of my community members.
So that was on Friday, of course. Now, the loudest booing there that you heard was by a neo-Nazi. He's a moron, already convicted for making the Hitler salute while calling out Heil Hitler. Now, for a Hitler freak even to be at an Anzac Day dawn service, clearly obscene, when so many of our soldiers died fighting Hitler and his racist ideology. And disrupting the dawn service with booing, also disgusting. Just like the clown who reportedly yelled out "Free Palestine" at the service of the National War Memorial. But you heard the video I played there. There were more people than this Hersan character booing. And were they really all neo-Nazis, you might have thought from the media coverage? Now, the proper response really to what went on at that dawn service is damn both sides. Damn anyone who tries to divide us by race at an event made to unite us as Australians, including with the welcome to country. Now, is it really surprising that some people objected to being effectively told at a dawn service that even soldiers who died for this country still can't call this country their own? Now, one man, apparently a veteran, tried to make that point to a journalist at the service.
I have a lot of veteran mates that haven't come today solely because of the welcome to the country. Because our friends have died for this country, for this soil, and for them to be welcomed is a slap in the face. And you need to see it from a different perspective. No, I'm not.
Now, just because a disgusting neo-Nazi booed the welcome to country, do not be afraid to oppose it yourself, but for different reasons. To be against it doesn't make you a Nazi as well. Nazis are against the welcome because they are racist. Their objection is just that they want their race to win. But anti-racists, they're against the welcome because they hate any racial division by anyone, and especially when it divides our war dead by race. And that today is what Peter Dutton stressed.
Would you consider Anzac Day dawn ceremonies as an event significant enough to warrant a welcome to country?
No, it would be my answer to that. It's ultimately a decision for the individual organisers of the events, and Anzac Day is about our veterans. It's about 103,000 Australians who have died in service of our country. I think if you're listening to their sentiment, and we're respectful of that sentiment on Anzac Day, I think their majority view would be my read of our vets would be that they don't want it on that day.
Now, a lot of Liberals, well, for years have been saying this, oh, don't fight these culture wars. I remember Scott Morrison boasting to me he wasn't going to fight the culture wars. And the culture wars, of course, fought him and beat him. The gender war, the green global warming war. Besides, you know, some Liberals say, look, this election really is all about cost of living. We don't want to go down there. Well, if it was all about cost of living, I've got to tell you, Anthony Albanese would be out in his ear, but it's not, is he? Now, this is the vision of Australia. It is not everything, but it is a lot. The lack of common identity now, the tearing down of Australian history, the ethnic politics. It's so bad now that we're getting election signs in Sydney with only one word that is not in Arabic, telling Arabic-speaking voters to stop Dutton. Now I'm going to give you another example of many in this election campaign of how this new tribalism, you know, it's my land, not your land, or it's my tribe, not yours, how it's tearing us apart and it's being led by politicians exploiting race politics. And I hope this will tell you why it's so important that we must fight welcomes to the country and all other means now being used by race warriors to divide us. Lidia Thorpe, she's a race-baiting senator. She was first elected as a Green, insists she's an Aboriginal, even though 7 of her 8 great-grandparents were actually white. Now, Thorpe plays a lot of race politics, as you know. She says people identifying as Aboriginal, like her, should have their own sovereignty in this country. Let's split the country again, then. And the rest of us, by the way, should pay people like her rent. And last week, being a race baiter, she jumped on this story.
The African community is calling for an independent investigation into the death.
The African community rallied today, demanding an end to what they call police brutality.
I mean, just a phrase, the African community. I mean, this is Australia. What happened to the Australian community? Must there always be Africans that are always set aside in one community, theirs, and the rest of us in our own little silos? Where did this us versus the rest of us come from? That's the new race politics. Anyway, this touch one, touch all mentality. It leads to people thinking, well, if police shoot one of ours, no matter what the circumstances, even if it's to protect themselves from a man coming at them with a knife, the police then are the enemy of our tribe. They get attacked by a mob, including allegedly by a man who seems to have a monitoring device on his ankle. And the police then get accused of being anti-African, not defending themselves against one guy, but harming the many, the us.
Police should be the one that's protecting us, not harming us.
Now, to this disgraceful scene of police being attacked, enter Lidia Thorpe, the race baiter. Thorpe has said nothing publicly about the white shopkeeper in Darwin allegedly stabbed to death last week by an Aboriginal teenager, or about the alleged stabbing on the weekend of a service station attendant in Alice Springs. I mean, welcome to that country. But about this shooting of an African rushing at police with a knife, Thorpe posted that the police had actually committed murder. Last week in Footscray, she wrote, police murdered a young unarmed man. His name was Abtifata Ahmed. He had a life, a future and a family. Well, Lydia, in fact, it was not murder, it was self-protection. And Ahmed was not unarmed, he had a knife. Let me repeat, a knife. And that post on X has since been deleted because it was mocked to the skies. But Thorpe is still accusing the police in other posts that they are murderers. Now, she should be sued for defamation, for spreading hate. And this is the us and them politics that is destroying this country, dividing us by race, splitting us into tribes, breeding this deadly tribalism, particularly among new arrivals here. Now, Dutton has been going around asking a really good question, an obvious question, you know. Are you better off under Labor than 3 years ago. He means financially. But here's a question that is just as important now. Are we more united under Labor, under Three Flags Labor? I think this is one culture war that must be fought. And isn't it good to have Peter Dutton now realising that again?